Namaste. Welcome to another episode of My India, My Pride series. In the last video, we learnt about King Aja and King Dasharatha. Children, you might have heard stories of Ramayana several times. Today, let us learn about Rama and Ramayana in brief. Rama was the first son of Suryavamshi Ikshwaku king Dasharatha. He was also called Raghukula Tilaka. His life story is called Ramayana.
पूर्वं रामतपोवनाभिगमनम् हत्वा मृगं काञ्चनम् वैदेहीहरणं जटायुमरणं सुग्रीवसम्भाषणम् वालिनिग्रहणं समुद्रतरणं लङ्कापुरीदाहनम् पश्चाद्रावणकुम्भकर्णहननम् एतद्धि रामायणम् एतद्धि रामायणम्.
This is the whole Ramayana in one shloka. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, let us learn about all this in detail. In the previous video, we learnt about Dasharatha's death due to Putra Shoka and his children not being with him due to the curse of Shravanakumara's parents. Rama and Lakshmana were in the forest while Bharata and Shatrughna were at their uncle's place. Bharata comes back from his uncle's house immediately with Shatrughna. He realizes what his mother had done to send Rama to forest, which in turn caused his father's death. He blames Kaikeyi for the situation. She realizes her mistake and repents listening to Mantara. Bharata immediately rushes to the Chitrakuta forest to bring back Rama. He informs Rama of their father's death and begs him to come back. Rama is devastated but refuses to return to Ayodhya as he has to obey his father's words. So, finally, Bharata agrees to rule Ayodhya as a representative of Rama. He obtains Rama's sandals, carries them on his head, and places them on the throne as a respect to Rama and starts ruling Ayodhya. After this incident, they travel further to Dandaka forest, they cross Vindhya mountain and reach sage Agastya's hermitage. Agastya Muni advised Rama to settle at Panchavati on the banks of the river Godavari. Rama, Sita and Lakshmana spent their exile in the forest at Panchavati. When they were at Panchavati, Shurpanaka, sister of Ravana, sees Rama, falls in love with him and wanted to marry him. But Rama refuses to marry her. Filled with anger, she attempts to kill Sita. To protect Sita, Lakshmana cuts off Shurpanaka's nose and ears. Humiliated Shurpanaka runs to her brothers Khara and Dushana, who attack Rama and Lakshmana but are killed in the battle. Shurpanaka goes to her brother Ravana for help. When Ravana sees what they had done to his sister Shurpanaka, in revenge he decides to destroy Rama by capturing Sita with the aid of Maricha. Maricha turns into a golden deer. Entranced by the beauty of the deer, Sita pleads with Rama to capture it. Rama chases the deer into the forest. He leaves Sita under Lakshmana's guard. Rama shoots an arrow at the deer. Before dying, Maricha calls out for Lakshmana and Sita in Rama's voice. Thinking Rama is in trouble, Sita forces Lakshmana to go and rescue Rama. Lakshmana consents but insists that she should not leave the cottage or entertain any stranger and draws a line for her protection, which is called Lakshmana Rekha. Meanwhile, Ravana comes in the disguise of a saint, requesting Sita for alms. He insists that she crosses the line to give him the alms. Unaware of his plan, Sita crosses the line and she is forcibly carried away by Ravana in his Pushpaka Vimana. Jatayu tries to stop Ravana but loses his wings in the fight and falls to the ground. When Rama realizes Sita had been kidnapped, he starts searching for her and reaches the place where Jatayu had fallen to the ground trying to save Sita. Jatayu was badly injured but still alive when Rama reached the place. Before dying, Jatayu told Rama and Lakshmana about Sita's abduction. After completing Jatayu's funeral, they immediately set out to save Sita. This is the place where Jatayu died trying to save Sita Mata from Ravana. This place is in Chadayumangalam village in Kollam district, Kerala. Legend has it that it was on a rocky peak near the village that the mythological giant eagle of Ramayana fell while fighting Ravana. Thereafter, the place came to be known as Jatayu Mangalam. Over the years, it became Jadayu Mangalam and the peak became Jatayu Para or Jatayu Rock. There is a monument built on this rock of Jatayu. It is the biggest bird monument in India. On the way, they meet Kabandha. Kabandha was born as a Gandharva, a celestial musician. His name was Vishwavasu. Vishwavasu performed penance and got the boon of immortality from the creator god Brahma. Vishwavasu became arrogant due to his boon and attacked Indra. Indra used his weapon Vajrayudha and drove his head and legs into his body. Vishwavasu pleaded that he be pardoned and given a way to find and eat food. Upon Vishwavasu's pleading, Indra gave him two long arms and a mouth on his stomach. Indra also told that Kabandha would regain his original form when Rama cuts off his arms. Finally, he is released from his curse by Rama. Then Rama and Lakshmana travel deep into the forest in search of Sita. Near Lake Pampa, they meet a woman called Shabari. She was the servant of sage Matanka. Matanka had long since gone, and Shabari alone watched over the hermitage, waiting for Rama as predicted by her master. When Rama arrives, his presence overwhelms her. She touches his feet, feeds him fruits that grow in abundance in the neighborhood. He blesses her. Shabari tells Rama to go to Kishkinda and take help from Sugriva to search for Sita. Rama and Lakshmana reach Kishkinda. There they meet Hanuman. Through him they meet Sugriva and develop friendship with him. Sugriva tells them his story why he was hiding in Rishyamukha Parvata after fighting with his brother and losing his kingdom. Sugriva's story goes like this. Once, a demon bull named Dundubi challenged Sugriva's brother Vali to a duel. Enraged Vali fought bravely and held Dundubi by the legs and swirled him and threw him as far as he could. Sage Matanga was performing a yajna in his hermitage hundreds of miles away. The body of the dead demon which was thrown by Vali landed right next to the sage with the mouth wide open over the holy fire dripping blood. Sage Matanga, outraged, yelled a curse into the sky that whoever had dishonored his prayer would have his head explode if he ever steps foot onto the Rishyamukha mountain where he lived. So, Sugriva was hiding there. Then he continued and told why Vali was upset with him and sent him away from his kingdom. After Dundubi's death, his brother Mayavi came to fight with Vali. Vali fought with him and chased him. Mayavi ran and entered into the cave. Vali too followed him into the cave. But before entering the cave, he instructed Sugriva to wait outside for 15 days. He also said that if he did not come out of the cave after 15 days, Sugriva should consider he had been killed and should return to the kingdom after closing the mouth of the cave. Sugriva waited outside for a month. After a month, he saw blood coming out of the cave and assumed that Vali was dead. He followed his brother's order and returned to the kingdom and started ruling the kingdom. But Vali was alive. When he came back and saw Sugriva running the kingdom of Pampapuri, he became furious. He drove Sugriva out and enslaved his wife as well. After listening to Sugriva's story, Lord Rama assured Sugriva that he will help him to fight Vali, who was very strong due to the boon by Indra. Rama cut 7 palm trees with one shot of his arrow, convincing Sugriva of his strength. Rama felt that Vali's crime was unpardonable as he had punished his brother unjustly and abducted his brother's wife. So he asked Sugriva to invite Vali for a duel. Both brothers looked alike. Rama could not differentiate one from another. Vali beat Sugriva badly. Then Rama asked Sugriva to invite Vali again for a duel and this time to wear a garland to help Rama recognize him. During the battle, Rama kills Vali with an arrow passing through his heart. Rama had to kill Vali from behind since Vali, who was himself extraordinarily strong and had secured a boon to the effect that he would gain half the strength of any person fought him face to face. He got this boon from his father Indra. That is the reason Rama had to shoot him from hiding where Vali could not see him. After the death of Vali, Rama made Sugriva the king of Kishkinda. After the crowning ceremony, Rama reminded Sugriva of his promise to help search for Sita. Sugriva gave the charge to Hanuman and Vali's son Angada to help Rama to search for Sita. Searching for Sita, they reached the seashore. They were clueless on where to search. Just then, Jatayu's brother Sampati comes there and tells them Sita is in Ashokavatika on the Lankan island across the ocean. Hanuman was asked to go to Sri Lanka to search for Sita. When he was doubting his ability to fly across the ocean, Jambavanta reminded him of his strength. After Hanumanta was convinced of his strength, he flew to Sri Lanka to search for Sita Mata. On the way, he had several hurdles which he had to cross to reach Lanka. First, he met Mainaka Parvata, who requested him to accept his hospitality. Since Hanuman could not refuse him, but at the same time he did not want to waste any time, he touched the mountain to fulfill the mountain's request and traveled further. Then he meets Surasa, the mother of Nagas. Surasa stops him and tells him that Hanuman is her food that day. Hanuman tells her his purpose of travel, but she insists she wants to swallow him. Hanuman reduces in size, enters her mouth and comes out before she closes her mouth, thus fulfilling her wish of eating him. Then he meets a Rakshasa called Simhika, who stops him by pulling his shadow. He realizes he had to kill her. He grows in size. Simhika opens her mouth wide open. He still grows bigger and bigger. She opens her mouth wider and wider to swallow him. When he has her mouth wide open, Hanuman suddenly reduces to tiny size, enters her mouth and slits her stomach open and kills her. Hanuman crosses the sea and reaches Lanka. He is stopped by Lankini, who is the caretaker of Sri Lanka. Hanuman kills her and enters Lanka. He locates Sita in Ashoka Vatika, where she is being wooed and threatened by Ravana to marry him. Hanuman gives her the ring and assures Sita that Rama will take revenge for the insult of her abduction. Also, he takes her golden hairband Chudamani as her identification. When Ravana's army catch Hanuman and try to humiliate him by setting fire to his tail, Hanuman sets fire to Lanka and comes back to Rama. After confirming the presence of Sita in Sri Lanka, Rama's army reaches the ocean shore across which lies the island of Sri Lanka. Rama, with the help of Vanaras, constructed a bridge over the sea to cross over to Lanka. The Vanaras constructed a floating bridge across the sea by writing the name of Rama on the stones and tossing them into the water. According to the legend, the stones did not sink because they had Rama's name written on them. Rama's army then used the bridge to cross the sea towards Sri Lanka. If you look at the satellite photos of this region today, you will notice a faint hint of a connecting strip between the two countries. This is called Rama's Bridge or Ramasetu. This is a long twisting stretch of shoal and sandbank connecting the Indian island of Rameshwaram off the southeast coast of Tamil Nadu to Mannar Island off the northwestern coast of Sri Lanka. The bridge is about 50 kilometers long. Much of it is underwater today, but centuries ago it was solid connecting link between India and Sri Lanka. The causeway existed as late as the 15th century and was passable on foot as per the records kept at the Rameshwaram temple until it was flooded during a storm. When Ravana comes to know Rama was crossing the ocean to wage a war against him to release Sita, Ravana starts preparation for the war. Vibhishana, brother of Ravana, asks him to return Sita and seek forgiveness from Rama. An enraged Ravana throws him out from Lanka. Vibhishana reaches Rama and asks for his blessings and help. Rama promises to make him the king of Lanka. Lord Rama, along with his Vanara army, were fighting the battle with Ravana. In the battle, Meghanada, son of Ravana, hurled a deadly weapon at Lakshmana, and Lakshmana fainted and fell down on the ground. He was severely injured and about to die. He could only be cured with Sanjeevani Boti, which is found in Mount Dronagiri in the Himalayas. Sanjeevani is a magical herb which has the power to cure serious nervous system problems. It was believed that Sanjeevani herb could be used to prepare various medicines. These medicines had the power to cure all the diseases and they could revive the person where death was almost certain. Rama asked Hanuman to bring the Sanjeevani booty from the mountain. Jambavanta explained the area where he could find the herb. Lord Hanuman reached the mountain, but he could not identify the Sanjeevani booty. As he had very limited time, he disfigured the mountain and carried the mountain on his palm to Lanka. Hanuman reached Lanka in time and Lakshmana was revived. In the battle, one by one, all of Ravana's army died, including Kumbhakarna and Indrajit. Ultimately, Ravana died at the hands of Rama. After the war, Rama asked Sita to undergo Agni Pariksha. This is not done to prove her purity as believed by many, but there is a story behind this. As we all know, Rama was born to end adharma and kill Ravana. When he had to chase the golden deer, he knew the intention of Ravana, so he requested Agni Deva to protect Sita, and a Maya Sita was created in her place. Maya Sita or Chaya Sita is the illusionary duplicate of the goddess Sita who was abducted by the demon king Ravana of Lanka. He had abducted the Maya Sita instead of the real Sita. The Maya Sita suffers his captivity while the real Sita hides in the fire. At Agni Pariksha, Maya Sita and the real Sita exchange places again. To bring real Sita, Maya Sita had to enter fire, so the Agni Pariksha was done and Agni Deva returned real Sita to Rama. Rama goes back to Ayodhya along with Sita, Lakshmana, Hanuman and other Vanaras. On the 15th day of Kartika Masa, he returns to Ayodhya, and this day is celebrated and people lighted up their homes and streets with diyas and bursted firecrackers to show their happiness. This day is celebrated as Deepavali every year to commemorate Rama's victory over Adharma. Diwali is the festival of lights which signifies the victory of good over evil and the eradication of dark shadows, negativity and doubts from our lives. Rama's Pattabhishekam was performed with lot of grandeur. Rama started ruling Ayodhya along with Sita, his brothers and Hanuman besides him. Let us learn about the birth of his sons Lava and Kusha in our next video. We have used materials and pictures from the various sites to create this video. We give credit to the creators and sincerely thank the sources of all the pictures and materials used here. Thank you for watching.